Your mind is the most valuable territory you will ever own, and right now it is under siege. You feel it every day, don't you? 1,000 notifications pulling at your attention, the invisible weight of other people's expectations, the anxieties of the world broadcast directly into your pocket 24 hours a day. You feel the static, the mental exhaustion, the low-grade, constant hum of stress that has become so normal you've almost stopped noticing it. You are living with an unattended gate. We have been taught to build fences for our property, to put locks on our doors, and to ensure our possessions. Yet the most critical asset we possess, the very lens through which we experience our entire reality, is left open. It is left vulnerable to the weather of public opinion, to the pollution of cheap negativity, and to the invasion of other people's drama. And the cost of this vulnerability is catastrophic. It is the cost of your focus, the cost of your peace, and the profound, tragic cost of the person you were meant to become. A life lived by reaction is not a life at all. It is a form of survival. You are pushed by your anxieties and pulled by your distractions. You are tossed in the storm of external events, reacting to a world that does not care about your well-being. This audiobook is the end of that life. This is not a collection of gentle suggestions. It is not about thinking positive thoughts and hoping the world changes. This is a manual for a revolution, a quiet, internal revolution. Its purpose is to give you the tools, the strategies, and the framework to fundamentally change your relationship with your own mind. It is a guide to building a fortress. You will learn to identify the invaders, stress, drama, and negativity, not as inevitable forces, but as clear and present threats. You will learn to build your defenses, not from stone, but from principles. You will learn to control the flow of information, to master your emotional responses, and to establish non-negotiable borders. If you find value in this journey we are taking, consider liking this video and subscribing to the premier audiobooks so you never miss a chapter in your transformation. This journey will not be easy. It will require you to take radical, 100% ownership of your thoughts. It will demand that you make difficult choices about who and what you allow into your inner world. But the reward is not just less stress. The reward is sovereignty. The reward is clarity. It is the ability to think without static. It is the power to pursue your purpose without distraction. It is the deep, unshakable calm that comes from knowing, finally, that you are in command. The war for your mind has already begun. It is time for you to fight back. Chapter 1. The Unattended Gate. When was the last time you stood guard? You lock your car. You lock the door to your home. You put passwords on your accounts and fences around your property. You understand, instinctively, that valuable things must be protected. You would never leave your home wide open, inviting the chaos of the world to come in, to track mud on the floors, to rifle through your possessions, to disturb your peace. And yet, the single most valuable territory you will ever own, the territory from which all your experiences, decisions, joys, and pains originate, is left completely and dangerously undefended. This territory is your mind, and its gate is wide open. This is the central diagnosis of your unease, the reason for your exhaustion, the source of that low-grade, constant hum of anxiety that you have come to accept as a normal part of living. You are living with an unattended gate. Think about what has entered your mind in just the past 24 hours. The random, angry opinion of a stranger in a comment section, the manufactured urgency of a breaking news alert, the passive-aggressive remark from a colleague in an email, the curated, artificial perfection of a life you scrolled past on social media, designed specifically to make you feel less than. You absorbed the anxieties of the global economy, the frustrations of your boss, the petty dramas of people you barely know, and the volume of a world that never, ever stops talking. Did you consent to any of this? Did you consciously decide that these specific thoughts, these specific emotions, and these specific stresses were worthy of your time? No, you did not. They didn't knock. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't fill out a form. They simply walked in. They strolled past the unattended gate, made themselves at home, and began to rearrange your furniture. This is the state of the modern mind. It is not a fortress. It is not a sovereign kingdom. It is a public square. It is an unsecured marketplace where any vendor of stress, any merchant of drama, any peddler of negativity can set up shop, shouting for your attention, cluttering your space, and polluting your air. The cost of this vulnerability is not small. It is, in fact, everything. Because if you do not control the territory of your mind, you do not control your life. So we must ask the question, why? Why are we so negligent? Why do we spend our lives protecting the trivial while leaving the essential, our own consciousness, to the mercy of the wind? The answer is not simple. It is a conspiracy of biology, technology, and social conditioning. A perfect storm that has left us exposed, distracted, and overwhelmed. First, we fail to protect our minds because they are invisible. You cannot see your mind, you cannot weigh it or touch it. This abstract nature makes it feel less real, less urgent than your physical possessions. If your arm was broken, you would seek immediate medical attention. But a broken focus, a fractured peace, a spirit contaminated by pessimism? This, we are told, is just a bad day. This is just part of life. We treat the symptoms of our mental exposure, the anxiety, the depression, the burnout, as if they are the primary disease. They are not. They are the consequence of a compromised immune system, a mind that has taken in more poison than it can process. We have been trained to mistake the symptom for the cause. The cause is the open gate. Second, we are actively conditioned against building defenses. From our earliest days, we are taught that openness is a virtue. We are trained to be receptive, to be available, to be agreeable. A closed-off person is seen as suspicious, rude, or selfish. Our social survival has depended on our ability to be permeable, to sense the moods and demands of the tribe. To set a boundary, to consciously reject an information stream, to say, no, you do not have permission to enter my mind, feels like an act of aggression. It feels unnatural. The fear of being disliked is one of the most powerful control mechanisms on Earth. And so we leave the gate open. We allow the drama of a family member to become our drama because we don't want to seem uncaring. We allow the negativity of a coworker to drain our energy because we don't want to seem difficult. We allow the digital mob to set our emotional agenda because the idea of unplugging and being out of the loop is more terrifying than the anxiety of being in it. We have confused being a good person with being a dumping ground. Kindness and empathy are essential virtues, but they have been weaponized against you. True empathy is not possible from a state of exhaustion. True kindness is not possible from a state of internal chaos. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and your cup is being drained by 1,000 straws you never agreed to. Third, our own biology is working against us. Your brain is not designed for your happiness. It is designed for your survival. You are the descendant of ancestors who survived because their brains were exquisitely tuned, threats. This is the negativity bias. For tens of thousands of years, the human who spent his day admiring the beautiful sunset and the pleasant weather was eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. The human who spent his day obsessing over the rustle in the bushes, the potential for a storm, or the fear of a rival tribe, that is the human who survived. Your mind is Velcro for bad experiences and Teflon for good ones. You can receive 12 compliments and 1 criticism. And what will you remember? What will keep you awake at 3 in the morning? The criticism. The ancient survival-oriented part of your brain does not know the difference between a predator in the jungle and an angry email from your boss. It treats both as a threat to your existence. It screams, "Pay attention! This is dangerous!" Negativity, drama, and stress are, to your brain, the most important information in the room. They get priority access. They bypass the velvet rope. Your mind wants to be hijacked by them because it mistakes them for survival data. This is why cynicism sounds smarter than hope. It's why bad news travels faster than good news. And it's why a single stressful encounter can poison an entire day. Your gatekeeper, your biological guard, is hardwired to wave the most dangerous invaders right on through. Finally, this ancient, vulnerable biology, conditioned for openness, has collided with the most invasive technology ever invented: the digital world, the attention economy. If your mind is a territory, the smartphone in your pocket is a permanent 24/7 access pass for the entire world. It is the gate, the drawbridge, and the signal tower, all in one. And it was designed with one purpose: to keep your defenses down. This is not an accident. Every notification, every infinite scroll, every algorithm, and every red dot badge is an instrument of psychological engineering. They are designed to exploit your negativity bias, to trigger your social anxieties, to hook you with intermittent rewards. This is a war for your attention, and you need to understand that your attention is not some abstract concept. It is you. What you pay attention to is your life. The world's largest corporations are not selling you products. They are selling you. They are selling your focus. They are selling your vulnerability. They are selling parcels of your mental territory to the highest bidder, to advertisers who want to make you feel insecure, to news outlets who want to make you feel afraid, and to platforms that profit from keeping you outraged. They are profiting, quite literally, from your unattended gate. This is the diagnosis: an invisible territory we don't know how to value, a social pressure to remain unguarded, a biological preference for negativity, and a technology built to exploit every one of those weaknesses. The result is not just a distracted life. It is a compromised life. Let us be clear about the high cost of this vulnerability. The first cost is your focus. The ability to concentrate, to think deeply, to engage in deep work is becoming a superpower in the 21st century. This ability is what allows you to build a career, to learn a skill, to create art, to solve a complex problem. A mind that is constantly interrupted, fragmented by 1,000 digital pings and incoming stresses, is a mind that cannot build. It can only manage. It can only react. You are not multitasking, you are switch-tasking. And every switch, no matter how small, exacts a cognitive price. Your mental energy is being bled dry by 1,000 tiny cuts. The second cost is your emotional stability. When your gate is open, you absorb the emotional weather of the world. You are carrying second-hand stress. It is the anxiety of your boss about a deadline, which you absorb and carry home. It is the drama of a celebrity, which you absorb through a screen. It is the free-floating anger of an online mob, which seeps into your consciousness and becomes your own. You feel exhausted, irritable, and overwhelmed, and you don't even know why. You know why. You are paying the emotional price for problems that are not yours. It is a tax you pay for having no borders. The third and most profound cost is the tyranny of the reactive life. Most people do not live a life of intention. They live a life of reaction. Think of the reactive loop. The alarm goes off. What is the very first thing most people do before their feet even hit the floor? They grab their phone. In the first 30 seconds of their day, they have handed over the keys to their kingdom. They have invited the world's agenda to come flooding in before they have had a single moment to set their own. Their day becomes a frantic scramble to responding to emails, responding to notifications, responding to the demands of others, responding to the fires that were set by someone else. They are pushed by their anxieties and pulled by their distractions. They spend their entire day on defense, never once getting to play offense. This is not living. This is managing. This is survival. A life lived by reaction is a life half-lived. It is the ultimate tragedy of the unattended gate. When your mind is a crowded, noisy public square filled with the shouts and opinions and demands of everyone else, you cannot hear the one voice that matters, your own. The deepest cost of the unattended gate is not just that the world gets in, it is that you get lost. Your inner voice, your intuition, your purpose, your own calm, rational thought is drowned out. It is smothered under the weight of external noise. You begin to want things you never actually wanted. You begin to fear things you have no reason to fear. Your identity becomes a collage of what you have consumed, a reflection of the noise you have absorbed. This is the state of things, and it is unsustainable. But this is not a message of despair. It is a message of awareness. You cannot defend a territory you do not know is under attack. You cannot build a fortress if you do not see the vulnerability. You cannot heal a sickness that has not been diagnosed. This chapter is the diagnosis. The problem is not that the world is noisy. The world has always been noisy. The problem is not that stress, drama, and negativity exist. They will always exist. The problem is your gate. The problem is the passive, unconscious, and vulnerable state you have allowed your mind to fall into. And the solution starts right now. It starts with the conscious decision to no longer be a passive receptacle for the world's chaos. It starts with the realization that your mind is yours, that it is sacred, and that it is worth defending. Awareness is the first act of defense. You now see the gate. You see how it was left open. You see the footprints of the invaders, and you can, for the first time, feel the high cost of your vulnerability. You are no longer ignorant of the threat. The next step is to become an expert on it. Before we can build new walls, before we can hire new guards, we must learn to identify, by name, every single invader that is trying to cross your threshold. We must move from a general feeling of being overwhelmed to a precise, tactical understanding of the enemy. It is time to know your enemy. It is time to identify the invaders. Chapter 2. Identifying the invaders. Stress, drama, and negativity. A guard who cannot distinguish a civilian from a soldier is not a guard. He is a liability. In the last chapter, you awoke to a stark reality. Your mind is an unsecured territory, its gate left open to the chaos of the world. You now possess the most powerful and most unsettling tool of all, awareness. You see the cost of your vulnerability. You see the footprints of the invaders. But awareness alone is not a defense. It is merely the first critical step. A general who only knows he is being invaded, but not by whom, is still destined to lose. We are now moving from awareness to identification. We are going to unmask the three primary forces that have compromised your mental territory. You will learn their tactics, their disguises, and their origins. You will stop experiencing them as a vague, overwhelming fog of being stressed and start seeing them as they are, distinct, identifiable, and manageable threats. You cannot fight an enemy you cannot name. Today, we name them. We will build your threat identification system, the field manual for your mind. The invaders are stress, negativity, and drama, and they are not the same. We begin with the most intimate of the three, the saboteur who is already inside the walls. Invader 1, the internal saboteur, stress. The first invader is stress, but we must be ruthlessly precise about this. For your entire life, you have been taught a lie about stress. You have been trained to speak its name incorrectly. You say, "My job is stressful." You say, "This traffic is stressful." You say, "That person is stressing me out." This language is a fatal error. It frames stress as an external force, an active event, or a property of a person or a place. As long as you believe this, you will forever be its victim. You are giving your power away.
You are claiming that if only the world would change, if the job would get easier, if the traffic would clear, if the person would leave, then you would have peace. This is the mindset of the powerless. Let us correct the record permanently. Stress is not an external event. Stress is an internal response. It is not the pressure of the deadline. It is your reaction to the deadline. It is not the crying baby. It is your internal collapse in the face of the noise. It is not the criticism you received. It is the verdict you pass upon yourself afterward. Stress is the biological and psychological alarm system of your body. Its original purpose was pure survival. When your ancient ancestor was walking and heard a twig snap, a jolt of adrenaline and cortisol flooded their system. Their heart pounded, their muscles tensed, their pupils dilated. This was the fight or flight response. It was a brilliant, short-term system designed to save your life from an acute physical danger. It was designed to help you fight the predator or flee from it. But here is the critical flaw in the modern world. That alarm system, designed for a 5-minute sprint from a tiger, is now always on. Your body does not know the difference between a predator and a performance review. It does not distinguish between a physical threat and a psychological one. An angry email, a looming stack of bills, a tense conversation, an overfull calendar. Your body treats all of them as a tiger in the bushes. So the alarm, which was only meant to ring in short, intense bursts, is now ringing 24 hours a day. This is the internal saboteur. The stress itself is not the enemy. The chronic nature of it is. You are living in a state of permanent, low-grade fight or flight. You are not being chased by a predator. You are being leaked on by your own biology. A constant, steady drip of corrosive chemicals, pickling your organs, clouding your judgment, and setting your nerves on fire. This is the invader. It's not the world. It's the alarm that won't stop ringing. When this alarm is ringing, your mind changes. You lose access to the most evolved part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, the center of rational thought, long-term planning, and emotional regulation. Instead, you are hijacked by the amygdala, the primitive, reactive lizard brain. In this state, you are not your best self. You are your most basic self. You become short-tempered, your vision narrows, focused only on the threat. You cannot think creatively. You cannot feel empathy. You can only react, defend, and attack. This is what makes stress such a devastating internal saboteur. It convinces you that it is helping you manage the threat when it is, in fact, the very thing destroying your ability to do so. It is the guard who, in a panic, burns down the barracks to warn of a fire. Your first audit, then, is to identify this internal alarm. When you feel that familiar tension in your shoulders, that shallow breath, that clenched jaw, that racing mind at 3 a.m., do not look outside of yourself and ask, "What is stressing me out?" Look inside and state a new truth. My internal alarm is ringing. This simple act of reframing is an act of profound power. You have moved from victim to observer. You are no longer the fire, you are the firefighter. You have separated yourself from the response. Later, in Chapter 4, we will learn how to turn this alarm down, how to master this internal landscape. But for now, your only job is to identify it. Stop mislabeling the world as stressful. Start instead by accurately labeling your internal response. The alarm is ringing. That is the first invader. Invader 2, the atmospheric poison, negativity. The second invader is more insidious than the first. If stress is the alarm inside your walls, negativity is the poison in the air you breathe. You cannot see it, but you can feel its effects. It is an atmospheric contaminant that seeps in through the smallest cracks in your fortress, diminishing your energy, clouding your optimism, and slowly eroding your will. Negativity is not the same as stress. Stress is a response to pressure. Negativity is a worldview. It is an ideology of despair. And it is highly contagious. You can be in a perfectly calm, unstressed state. Then you walk into a room where two people have been arguing. You don't hear the argument, but you feel it. The air is thick. Your own mood instantly drops. You have just been exposed. This poison has three primary sources. The first source is the public stream. This is the most obvious. It is the 24-hour news cycle, the algorithmically curated outrage on your social media feed, the clickbait headlines, the shock jock radio. This is not information, it is information pollution. Its business model is your fear. Its product is your anger. Its currency is your attention. As we established in Chapter 1, your brain is hardwired with a negativity bias. It is built to scan for threats. These platforms are not serving you. They are exploiting your ancient survival hardware. They bleed, they lead. 100 planes landed safely today. One did not. Which one will you hear about? This constant global stream of pessimism, violence, and cynicism is not an accurate reflection of reality. It is a grossly distorted caricature of it, selected and amplified to keep you addicted. Consuming this stream all day is like trying to live on a diet of pure salt. It will not nourish you, it will only make you sick. The second source is more personal. It is second-hand negativity. This is the poison carried by the people in your life. This is the chronic complainer, the office gossip, the cynic, the perpetual victim.
We have all encountered this person. They are the energy vampire of popular legend. They don't just have problems, they are their problems. They are not looking for solutions, they are looking for validation. They seek to bond through shared misery. Isn't the weather awful? Can you believe what this idiot did? My life is just one disaster after another. This is a trap. You, as a good person, will try to help. You will offer solutions. You will try to cheer them up. And you will fail. And in that failure, you will become exhausted. Why? Because you are not dealing with a person who has a problem. You are dealing with a person who needs negativity to feel normal. Their pessimism is their identity. When you engage with them, you are not having a conversation. You are attending a pity party. And your entry fee is your own positive energy. It is like breathing secondhand smoke. You may not be the one smoking, but your lungs are filling with tar all the same. The third source is the most dangerous. It is internalized negativity. This is when the atmospheric poison has been inside you for so long, you have started to manufacture it yourself. It is your own inner critic, the voice of habitual pessimism. It's the voice that, when you get a new opportunity, whispers, "But you'll probably fail." It's the voice that, when someone gives you a compliment, says, "They're just being polite." It's the voice that, when you try to change, reminds you, "You've tried this before and it didn't work." This voice is not you. It is an echo. It is the recorded voice of a critical parent, a pessimistic culture, or a decade of consuming the public stream. It is the atmospheric poison that has finally and tragically become you. Your second audit is to track the flow of this poison. For 1 week, become a scientist of negativity. Carry a small notebook or use a note on your phone. Where is the public stream invading? Which apps, which shows, which websites? When you log off, do you feel better or worse? The answer is almost always worse. Who is the carrier of secondhand negativity? List the people in your life. Who do you feel drained by? Who do you feel energized by? Be honest. When does your internalized negativity speak? What are its favorite phrases? You are not judging. You are not fixing. You are simply identifying. You are tagging the sources of the contamination. That is the second invader. Invader 3, the interpersonal vortex, drama. The third invader is the most seductive, the most difficult, and the most human. It is drama. Drama is not stress. Stress is an internal reaction. Drama is an interpersonal performance. Drama is not negativity. Negativity is a pessimistic worldview. Drama is a manufactured conflict. Drama is a vortex. It is a swirling, chaotic, emotional black hole. It has an event horizon. Get too close and you will be pulled in. And at its center is a human being who needs it to feel alive. The merchant of chaos, or the emotional vampire, does not just encounter conflict, they create it. They thrive on it. Why? Because a state of calm, stable, productive peace is to them boring. Or worse, it is terrifying. A peaceful life would force them to look inward, to confront their own emptiness, their own lack of purpose. So they must create a storm. They must externalize their internal chaos. They must script a play, and they will go to any length to cast you in a role. The simplest and most powerful model for understanding this is the drama triangle. In any manufactured conflict, there are 3 and only 3 roles. The victim. The rallying cry of the victim is, "Poor me." The victim is helpless, powerless, and blameless. The world is just happening to them. They are oppressed by their boss, misunderstood by their partner, betrayed by their friends. Their story is a tragedy, and they are the star. But this powerlessness is a fiction. It is a strategy to avoid responsibility and to manipulate others into action. The persecutor. The rallying cry of the persecutor is, "It's all your fault." The persecutor is controlling, blaming, and critical. They are the villain of the story. They point the finger, they lay down the law, and they dominate the victim to feel powerful. The rescuer. The rallying cry of the rescuer is, "I'll save you." This is the most dangerous and seductive role for a good person to play. The rescuer swoops in to fix the victim. They feel noble, they feel needed, they feel superior. But the rescuer is not actually helping. They are enabling. They are treating the victim like a child, reinforcing their helplessness. And secretly, they need the victim to stay weak so they can continue to feel strong. Here is the key. Drama is the switching of these roles. The person who was just the victim, "My boss is a monster," suddenly becomes the persecutor. "And you're not helping me, you're just like him." The rescuer who tries to help fails and then becomes the victim. "I do everything for you, and this is the thanks I get." It is a non-stop, exhausting, rotating play. And it has nothing to do with solving a problem. It has everything to do with feeding the emotional needs of the people in the triangle. It is a closed loop, an addiction. Drama is a black hole for your single most valuable asset, your focus. It is a purpose killer. You cannot build an empire, write a book, raise a family, or find your own peace when you are spending 3 hours a day being an unpaid actor in someone else's terrible play. Your final audit is to identify the scripts. Think about the recurring conflicts in your life. Where are the triangles? Look at your family, your workplace, your friendships. Identify the patterns. What role are you cast in? Are you the perpetual rescuer, always fixing your chaotic friend? Are you the designated victim, always being attacked by a critical relative? Who is the source? Who is writing the scripts? Who is the one who always seems to be at the center of the storm but is never to blame? You must see this, not as a random series of unfortunate events, but as a predictable, structured system designed to steal your energy. You have done the work. You are no longer blind. The fog has lifted and the threats are clear. You see stress, the internal saboteur, the biological alarm that is stuck in the on position. You see negativity, the atmospheric poison, the diet of pollution from the public stream, and the secondhand smoke from the complainers. And you see drama, the interpersonal vortex, the seductive, scripted play that pulls you into its orbit and drains you of your purpose. You have tagged the threats. You have named the invaders. You have completed the most difficult step, seeing the prison you have been in. You have done the work of the diagnostician. Now you must become the architect. It is not enough to know the enemy. Now you must make a decision. A decision to take radical, 100% ownership. A decision to stop being a victim of this invasion and start designing the fortress that will protect you. It is time to draw your new mental blueprint. Chapter 3. The Architect's Decision. Drawing your mental blueprint. You have now stood in the dark. You have walked the perimeter of your undefended mind and seen the open gate. You have identified the invaders by name, the internal saboteur of stress, the atmospheric poison of negativity, and the interpersonal vortex of drama. You have completed the audit. You have the diagnosis. And now you have arrived at the point of no return. This chapter is not an analysis. It is a decision. It is the moment you stop being a tenant in your own mind, a passive resident complaining about the noise and the leaks, and become the architect. The tenant says, "This place is a mess." The architect says, "This is unacceptable. We build something new, starting now." This shift is the single most important event in your transformation. It is the pivot upon which your entire future self will turn. And it is built on one single, non-negotiable, and terrifyingly liberating principle. You are 100% responsible for your own mind. Let us be absolutely clear about this means. This is not the secret. This is not positive thinking. This is not a suggestion that you can control the world with your thoughts. You cannot. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control the weather.
You cannot control the fact that other people will be difficult, demanding, or irrational. You cannot control the traffic, the global news, or the fact that tragedy and injustice exist. This principle is not about controlling the world. It is about controlling your response to it. This is the critical distinction that separates the architect from the victim. The victim believes, "I am 100% a product of my circumstances." The architect believes, "I am 100% responsible for my experience of my circumstances." Let's dismantle the lie of fault. It is not your fault that you were raised in a negative environment, but it is your responsibility to heal from it. It is not your fault that your boss is incompetent or that your colleague is a merchant of chaos, but it is your responsibility to manage that boundary. It is not your fault that you are flooded with 1,000 digital distractions, but it is your responsibility to turn them off. Fault looks to the past. It seeks to assign blame. It is a dead end. Responsibility looks to the future. It seeks to claim power. It is an open road. For your entire life, you have been living under the tyranny of fault. You have been armed with a library of sophisticated, socially acceptable excuses. These excuses have formed the rotten, unstable foundation of your mental structure. Today, we begin the demolition. The architect's first job is to clear the lot. You cannot build a fortress on a swamp of excuses. Let us name the most common ones. Let's bring them into the light and see them for what they are, the chains you have mistaken for comforts. The architecture of excuses, the demolition. Excuse number 1. But it's my family. But it's my partner. This is the most powerful excuse. It is the emotional blackmail card. The argument is, because I love these people, I am required to let their stress, their drama, and their negativity become my own. To set a boundary would be selfish or uncaring. This is a lie. It is a profound, destructive lie that has ruined more lives than any other. Let us replace it with a truth. You cannot help anyone from a position of weakness. You cannot give water from a dry well. Your open gate policy,
The one that lets your mother's anxiety, your father's anger, or your partner's drama flood your mind is not loyalty. It is codependent. You are confusing being in the storm with them with being the storm. When you allow yourself to be pulled into their chaos, you have not helped them. You have only created a second victim. Now, instead of one person drowning, there are two. The most compassionate, loving, and supportive thing you can ever do for the people you love is to remain the calm center. To be the lighthouse, not the rowboat. The lighthouse does not run around the coast chasing ships.
It stands solid on its foundation and shines its light. It is a fixed point. It is a guide. To be that lighthouse, you must be 100% responsible for your own foundation. You must protect your own light. This is not selfish. It is the opposite of selfish. It is the only way you can be of any genuine, sustainable service to anyone. The excuse is gone. It is not an act of love to be a dumping ground. It is an act of self-abandonment. Excuse number 2. But it's my job. But I have to make a living. This is the economic hostage excuse. The argument is, my career requires me to endure chronic stress, constant availability, and toxic environments. I have no choice. It's the price of survival. This is the illusion of the golden handcuffs, even if the handcuffs are made of rust. Let us be clear. You do have to make a living. We are not living in a fantasy. But you have fallen for the trap of believing that your current method of survival is the only method. You have confused your job with your life. You have confused your role with yourself. When you say, my job is stressful, you are still using the language of the victim, which we unmasked in Chapter 2. You are giving your power to an abstract entity called the job. But what is the job? It is a series of tasks, meetings, and emails. The architect asks a different set of questions. What part of this job is creating the internal response of stress? Which meetings are a vortex of drama? Which notifications are a source of negativity? The architect becomes a tactician. Can I create a buffer zone of 30 minutes in the morning where I do not check my email to set my own agenda? Can I put a 15-minute mental firewall between my last meeting and my commute home so I do not carry the stress of the office into my personal life? Can I practice the verbal scripts we will learn later in this book to politely but firmly shut down a coworker's negative complaining? Most people never ask these questions. They just accept the all-or-nothing narrative, that they must either quit or suffer. This is a false choice. The architect's decision is to take 100% responsibility for their experience of the job. They start by optimizing the 50% they can control, which is almost always more than they think. And from that new position of power, they gain the clarity to see if they need to change the other 50%. The excuse is gone. Your job is what you do. It is not who you are, and it does not have the right to own your mind. Excuse number 3. But I just don't have the time. I'm just too tired. This is the victim of circumstance excuse. The argument is, protecting my mind sounds like a lot of work. I'm already overwhelmed. I am just trying to get through the day. Let us analyze this. You are overwhelmed and tired. Why? You are tired because your gate is unattended. You are overwhelmed because your mind is a public square. You are claiming to be too sick to take the medicine. The energy you are leaking every single day to drama, to negativity, to your own internal stress alarm is catastrophic. The mental effort it takes to process the world's chaos is the very thing causing your exhaustion. A fortress does not cost energy, it preserves it. A dam does not cost water, it concentrates it, turning the chaotic power of a flood into a focused, generative force. This is not a new job to add to your list. It is a new operating system that will make every other task more efficient. The decision to become the architect is, in itself, an act of energy creation. It is the moment you stop the leaks. The initial work of building the walls will be an effort, yes, But the peace that it provides, the focus it returns to you, the energy it preserves, this is an investment with an infinite return. The excuse is gone. You are not too tired to build defenses. You are tired because you have none. Drawing the mental blueprint. The lot is clear. The excuses have been demolished. The rotten foundation has been ripped out. Before you stands a clear, empty space. This is the new, terrifying, and beautiful home of your 100% responsibility. What do you build now? You build it from a blueprint. A blueprint is a declaration of intention. It is a document that says, this is what will be built here. This is what is permitted. This is what is not. A blueprint for a physical house has measurements. It defines the walls, the doors, the windows, and the systems. Your mental blueprint will do the same. Your blueprint is the answer to one simple question. What is the purpose of my mind? Is it a garbage dump for the world's refuse? Is it a public park for anyone to wander through? Is it a battlefield for constant warring conflict? Or is it a command center, a library, a studio, a sanctuary? You must decide. The architect's decision is the conscious, deliberate act of defining this purpose. The purpose of my mind is to be a space of clarity, focus, and peace, from which I can build the life I intend to live. This is your true north. This is the guiding principle of your entire blueprint. From this single powerful intention, we now draw the first lines. We will lay the foundation. This foundation is built from a new set of principles. We will call them your non-negotiables. These are the core standards that will become the basis of your new mental structure. They are the rules of your new kingdom. I cannot give you your list. You must define it yourself. But the architect asks 3 foundational questions. Foundation question 1. What is my non-negotiable standard for what I consume? This is your information toll booth, which we will build in Chapter 5. You have accepted that your mind is being fed a diet of poison and junk food. The architect's decision is to stop. Your new non-negotiable might be, I am more committed to my long-term peace than to my short-term desire to be in the loop. It might be, I will not consume information that makes me feel powerless, angry, or afraid unless it is essential for my immediate safety or action. It might be, my social media feed is a tool I use for specific inspiration or connection, not a river I fall into. You are drawing the blueprint for your windows and doors. Foundation question 2. What is my non-negotiable standard for my internal state? This is your mastery of stress, which we will build in Chapter 4. You have lived in a state of chronic, low-grade alarm. The architect's decision is to reclaim calm as your default setting. Your new non-negotiable might be, my internal calm is more valuable to me than being right in an argument. It might be, a 10-minute period of silence and solitude is not a luxury. It is a non-negotiable part of my daily mental hygiene. It might be, I will not make an important decision from a state of internal panic. I will build a buffer zone to return to center first. You are drawing the blueprint for your internal systems, the wiring, the plumbing, the quiet rooms. Foundation question 3. What is my non-negotiable standard for how I am treated? This is your mastery of drama, which we will build in Chapter 6. You have been an unpaid actor in other people's plays. The architect's decision is to resign from the cast. Your new non-negotiable might be, my time and energy are finite, and I will not give them to people who are not serious about solving their own problems. It might be, I will not participate in gossip. I will not be a rescuer. For a victim, it might be, a boundary is not an act of aggression. It is an act of self-preservation. I will enforce my borders kindly but firmly. You are drawing the blueprint for your walls, your drawbridge, and your rules of engagement. This is the decision. It is not a passive wish. It is an active, structural, architectural choice. The difference between the person you were when you started this chapter and the person you are now is intention. The tenant is gone. The architect is here. You have the blueprint. You have the declaration of 100% responsibility.
You have cleared the excuses. You have laid the foundation of your non-negotiables. This is the end of the reactive life. This is the end of the accidental life. You now stand on a clean, solid foundation of your own design. It will take work to build the walls. It will take discipline to guard the gate. But for the first time, you know why you are doing it. You are not protecting yourself from the world. You are preserving your mind for something, for your purpose, for your peace, for your life. The decision is made. The blueprint is drawn. It is time to pick up the tools. It is time to go to war. Chapter 4. The War Within. Conquering the Landscape of Stress. You are an architect. Your blueprint is drawn. The foundation of 100% responsibility has been laid. Now the first battle begins. This is the war that is fought before any other. It is not waged against a boss, against a spouse, or against the world. It is waged entirely within the 6-inch span between your ears. This is the war for your internal landscape. This is the war against the internal saboteur we identified in Chapter 2. This is the war within, the conquest of stress. Let us be clear about the terms of engagement. Your enemy is not stress itself. As we established, stress is merely an internal alarm. It is a biological signal. To wish for a life with no stress is to wish for a life with no challenges, no growth, and no meaning. A life without stress is not a life. It is a flat line. You do not want to eliminate the alarm. You want to master your response to it. The enemy, then, is not the alarm. The enemy is the hijacking. The enemy is the involuntary, unconscious, and automatic surrender of your rational mind to your primitive, panicked lizard brain. The enemy is the amygdala hijack. That moment when the alarm rings and you become the alarm. You become the panic. You become the anger. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of your higher self, the architect in your mind, is taken offline. And in that moment, you are no longer in control. You say things you do not mean. You make decisions you later regret. You collapse into a state of reactivity, becoming a puppet pulled by the strings of your own biology. That is the enemy. This war is not won with brute force. It is not won by pushing through or toughing it out. That is the language of the victim, attempting to overpower the storm. The architect, the sovereign, wins this war with strategy. The entire war is won or lost in a single infinitesimal moment. It is the space between stimulus and response. The email lands in your inbox. That is the stimulus. Your heart pounds, your jaw clenches, you feel the anger rise. That is the beginning of the response. And right there, in that tiny, fractional second, is the battlefield. For most of your life, that space has been non-existent. The stimulus and the response have been fused. They are one and the same. The email is the anger. The traffic is the frustration. The criticism is the shame. Your first act as a sovereign, your first feat of mental engineering, is to create space in that moment. You are going to build a buffer zone. This buffer zone is your mental command center. It is the quiet, reinforced room where the architect lives. When the alarm rings, you will no longer be in the fire. You will be in the command center, observing the fire, able to make a calm, strategic decision. This is the art of detachment. It is the practice of creating space. And it is the single most powerful tool you will ever learn. This buffer zone is not built with thoughts. It is built with practice. We will now give you the 3 primary tools to construct it. The first tool creates the space. The second calms the body, and the third rewrites the narrative. Tool 1, the observer, the art of detachment. The first step in any battle is to get your high ground. You must stop being a participant in the panic and become an observer of it.
You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness that is noticing those thoughts and emotions. This is the observer. The next time the alarm rings, the next time you feel that jolt of anger, that spike of anxiety, that clench of overwhelm, you are going to perform a single, powerful act of cognitive diffusion. You are going to narrate the experience as if you are a scientist observing a phenomenon. The old hijacked response is, "I am so angry. This is a disaster. I can't handle this." This language is an identity. I am angry. You have fused with the emotion. The new observer response is, "This is interesting. I am noticing a feeling of anger arising. My heart rate is increasing. My shoulders are tensing. The internal alarm is ringing loudly." Do you see the difference? It is the difference between being in the storm and watching the storm from a reinforced shelter. I am angry is a state of being. I am observing a feeling of anger is an act of seeing. One is a prison, the other is a map. This is not a word game. This is a profound shift in perspective. The moment you say, "I am observing," you have engaged your higher mind, your prefrontal cortex. You have, in that instant, proven that you are not the emotion, because you are the one watching it. You are no longer the subject of the hijack. You are the object of your own curiosity. This is the first step in creating your buffer zone.
You have just inserted a cognitive wedge between the stimulus and the response. You must practice this relentlessly. I am noticing the urge to yell. I am noticing a feeling of tightness in my chest. I am observing the thought that I am going to fail. It does not matter if the feeling is intense. It does not matter if the thought is loud. Your only job is to notice it, to name it, to tag it as a piece of data. This is the first 10% of the victory. You have created a sliver of space. You are no longer unconsciously reacting. You are consciously observing. But the alarm is still ringing. The body is still flooded with chemicals. The observer may be in the command center, but the barracks are on fire. Now you must send the signal to calm the system. Tool 2. The anchor, the physiological override. The mind and body are a two-way street. Your panicked mind can trigger your body's stress alarm, but this street runs in both directions. Your calm body can signal to your panicked mind that the threat is over. Trying to think your way out of a state of high stress is like trying to reason with a screaming toddler. Your lizard brain, your amygdala, does not understand logic. It only understands one thing: safety. You must physiologically signal to your brain that you are not, in fact, being chased by a tiger. The fastest, most direct, and most powerful tool to do this is your breath. This is not a New Age suggestion. This is a neurochemical command. When you are stressed, your breathing becomes short, shallow, and fast. It is chest breathing. This signals to your brain, danger, run. You must intentionally override this. You must anchor yourself. The most effective method is a physiological sigh or a long, extended exhale. The rule is simple. Your exhale must be longer than your inhale. When you are in the buffer zone and you have observed the stress, you will anchor the body. You will inhale through your nose, a normal, quiet inhale, for a count of 3 or 4. You will then exhale slowly through your mouth as if you are blowing gently through a straw, for a count of 6 or 7 or 8. Do this twice. Do this 3 times. Here is what you have just done. You have manually activated your parasympathetic nervous system. This long exhale stimulates the vagus nerve, which is the brake pedal of your body. It is the all-clear signal. This single conscious breath sends a direct biological message to your amygdala that says, "The threat has passed. You are safe. Stand down." The heart rate begins to slow. The muscles begin to relax. The flood of cortisol and adrenaline begins to recede. The screaming toddler in your mind is now quiet. You have just used your body to master your mind. The observer, tool 1, created the buffer zone. The anchor, tool 2, calmed the buffer zone. The observer put you in the command center. The anchor put out the fire in the barracks. Now you are no longer in a state of panic. You are in a state of control. The alarm has been heard, acknowledged, and quieted. For the first time, you have access to your full, rational mind. You are ready for the final step, to use the data from the alarm. Tool 3, the reframe, the narrative of control. You are now in the buffer zone. You are calm. You are detached. The stress alarm, which was once a hijacker, is now just a messenger. It has delivered a piece of information. The information is, this situation requires your attention. That is all. The hijacked mind, the victim's mind, creates a catastrophic narrative around this information. This is a disaster. It's all falling apart. This is the end of the world. The architect's mind, the sovereign mind, creates an actionable narrative. This is the reframe. You are going to consciously choose the story you tell yourself about this event. You are going to change the question. The hijacked mind asks, why is this happening to me? This is a victim's question. It leads only to despair. The sovereign mind asks, what does this situation require of me? This is an architect's question. It leads to action. The hijacked mind asks, what if I fail? This is a question of anxiety. The sovereign mind asks, what is the one next step I can take to move forward? This is a question of logistics. You are not problem-focused. You are solution-oriented. Let's see this in action. Stimulus. Your boss sends you a critical, angry email. Hijacked response. No buffer zone. Instant panic. I'm going to be fired. He hates me. This is awful. You fire back a defensive, emotional email, making the situation worse. Sovereign response. Buffer zone. The email hits. The alarm rings. Tool 1. The observer. I am observing a strong feeling of injustice and fear. My heart is pounding. This is a stress response. You have created space. Tool 2. The anchor. You inhale for 4. You exhale for 6. You do this 3 times. You have calmed the system. Tool 3. The reframe. You are now calm and clear. You look at the email again. Old narrative. My boss hates me. New narrative. My boss is clearly upset about this project. The information he has is incomplete. What does this require of me? It requires a clear, unemotional response that provides the correct data. One next step. I will not respond for 10 minutes. I will draft a reply that contains only the facts, and then I will read it once before sending it. You have just transmuted stress. You have taken the raw, chaotic, emotional energy of the hijack and transformed it into focused, productive, deliberate action. You have not avoided the stress. You have not repressed it. You have conquered it. You have metabolized it. You have taken a force that used to disable you, and you have turned it into a fuel. This is the war within. This is how you win it. Not every day, not perfectly. This is a practice. The long-term campaign, fortifying the landscape. The buffer zone and its tools are what you use in the battle. But the true master wins the war before the battle is ever fought. Your final step in conquering this landscape is to fortify it. It is to build a baseline of resilience so high that the alarms ring less often and less intensely. This is your non-negotiable internal maintenance. First, you must complete the cycle. The stress chemicals, adrenaline, cortisol, are designed for physical action. The tiger chases you, you run, you escape. The cycle is complete. In the modern world, the tiger is an email.
You feel the stress, but you don't run. You sit. Those chemicals are now trapped in your system with nowhere to go. You must complete the cycle. This is what exercise is. Physical movement is not a hobby for your health. It is the non-negotiable biological mechanism for processing stress. You must move your body intensely. You must sweat. You must punch the bag. You must run the stairs. You must lift the weight. You are literally burning the stress out of your body. You are completing the cycle. An architect who does not do this is like an engineer who leaves explosive chemicals lying around the factory floor. Second, you must cultivate silence. Your mind is a command setter. It needs a regular system reset. Solitude, 10, 15, 20 minutes a day of zero informational input is your non-negotiable. No phone, no music, no book, no podcast, just you and your mind. This is where you practice being the observer when the alarm is not ringing. This is how you sharpen your tool. This is how you build your calm muscle. A mind that is never quiet cannot recognize quiet and will never be able to return to it. Third, you must prioritize restoration. You cannot fight a war when you are exhausted. Sleep is not a luxury. It is the foundation of your mental fortress. A sleep-deprived brain is, by definition, a hijacked brain. Your amygdala becomes 60% more reactive. Your prefrontal cortex goes dark. Protecting your sleep, making it a non-negotiable ritual, is the single most profound act of mental defense you can engage in. This is the conquest. It is the strategy of the moment. Observe, anchor, reframe. And it is the strategy of the long term. Complete the cycle, cultivate silence, prioritize restoration. You have now conquered the internal landscape. The alarm may still ring, but it no longer causes panic. It no longer scatters your troops. The alarm is no longer a threat. It is simply a bell, ringing in a calm, clear, and sovereign mind.
Chapter 5. The Information Toll Booth. Curating your reality. What did you feed your mind today? Think about it. Be honest. You are meticulous about what you feed your body. You read the labels. You are aware of the dangers of processed foods, of chemical additives, of too much sugar or salt. You understand that what you consume physically, you become physically. Why are you not this meticulous about your mind? Your mind is also consuming. Every moment of every day, you are feeding it. You are feeding it the casual cynicism of a news report, the manufactured outrage of a social media algorithm, the secondhand negativity of a chronic complainer, the subtle, corrosive infotainment that serves no purpose other than to fill the silence. You are feeding your mind a diet of informational junk food, a diet of pollution. And you wonder why you feel anxious, cynical, and overwhelmed. In Chapter 4, we won the internal war. We built the buffer zone to conquer the internal saboteur of stress. We learned to observe, anchor, and reframe our biological response to pressure. We are now ready for the second stage of our architecture. We are turning our gaze from the internal landscape to the external border. It is time to deal with the second invader, the atmospheric poison of negativity. This is where we build the wall. This is where we erect the single most important structure for your mental sovereignty. We are building your information toll booth. A toll booth is not a concrete bunker. It is not an act of ignorance. A bunker is a sign of fear, a place to hide, sealed off from the world. That is not our goal. A toll booth is different. A toll booth is an instrument of control. It is a sign of authority. It is a checkpoint on the border, a deliberate, non-negotiable gate that regulates what is allowed to enter the valuable territory of your mind. For your entire life, you have been living under a flawed, dangerous premise, a lie sold to you by the attention economy. The lie is this, that being informed is a virtue.
We are taught that a good citizen is one who stays up to date, that a smart person is one who knows what's going on. This is a trap. This belief is the reason your gate has been left unattended. Let us be ruthless in our clarity. Knowing what is going on in every corner of the globe 24 hours a day is not being informed. It is being inundated. It is being agitated. It is being perpetually distracted. The 24-hour news cycle, the infinite scroll feed, is not a public service. It is a business. And its product is not information. Its product is your attention. It profits from your anxiety. It monetizes your outrage. It sells your negativity bias back to you, one click at a time. This endless stream is not designed to make you smarter. It is designed to make you addicted. It is designed to make you powerless. The architect, the sovereign, must reject this premise. You must make a conscious decision to shift your identity. You must stop being a passive consumer and become a ruthless curator. A consumer takes what is given. They are a receptacle. They sit at the end of the conveyor belt, and their mind is the dumping ground for whatever the world decides to throw at them. A consumer is a victim of the algorithm. A curator is different. A curator is an architect of reality. Think of your mind as the most exclusive museum in the world. It is your museum. You and you alone get to decide what goes on the walls. A curator does not just let anyone walk in and hang up a crude, angry, or ugly piece of art. A curator selects. A curator chooses. A curator searches for pieces that are excellent, that are meaningful, that are true, that align with the purpose of the museum. The purpose of your museum is the blueprint you created in Chapter 3, clarity, focus, peace. Most people's mental museums are a mess. The walls are cluttered with graffiti, with sensationalist headlines, with other people's dramas, with fears and anxieties they never asked for. The information toll booth is your new acquisitions department. It is the guard at the front door. And this guard has a new, non-negotiable set of criteria for entry. From this moment on, every piece of information that wants to enter your mind must first be stopped at the toll booth and pass 3 critical filters. The 3 filters of the toll booth. Filter 1. The relevance filter. Is this mine? The first question your new guard must ask is this information directly and actionably relevant to my life? Does this piece of news, this problem, this crisis have a direct bearing on your family, your community, your work, or your core responsibilities? And most importantly, is there an action I can personally take right now? You must be brutal here. A scandal involving a politician in a country you do not live in. Is this relevant? An argument between 2 celebrities you will never meet. Is this relevant? A story of a disaster 5,000 miles away over which you have zero control that is served to you only to make you feel afraid or sad. Is this relevant? The answer for most of what you consume is a resounding no. This is not a call for ignorance or apathy. It is a call for a recalibration of your attention. You have a finite amount of cognitive and emotional energy. You have, say, 100 units of caring per day. For years, you have been tricked into spending 95 of those units on things that are not relevant and not actionable. You have been informational touristing. You have been doom scrolling. You have been paying a high emotional tax for problems you cannot solve, leaving you with only 5 units of energy left for the things that are yours, for your own family, for your own health, for your own work, for your own community. The architect reclaims that energy. If the information is not relevant, if it is not actionable, it is noise. The toll booth guard denies entry. The information is not allowed to pass. It is not allowed to take up space on the walls of your museum. This single filter will eliminate 80% of the negativity that currently floods your life. Filter 2. The utility filter.
Does this serve me? Okay, so a piece of information is not directly relevant to your life. It's not an immediate problem you must solve, but it still wants entry. The toll booth guard now asks the second question. Does this information serve my purpose? Does this help me grow? Does it make me better, smarter, more skilled, or more inspired? Is this useful for the architect? This is the filter for growth, for education, and for inspiration. This is where you consciously seek information. A podcast on the habits of a great historical figure? Let it through. That is useful. A technical article that teaches you a new skill for your career? Let it through. That is useful. A piece of art, music, or literature that inspires you and connects you to a deeper sense of truth? Let it through. That is the highest form of utility. Now, let's apply this filter to the gray area of information, the casual, cynical infotainment, the celebrity gossip, the endless analysis of a game, the surface-level hot takes. Does this serve you? Does it really? Or is it just a mental snack, a hit of cheap, processed emotional sugar? Is it just distraction masquerading as information? The architect is not in the business of distraction. They are in the business of construction. If a piece of information is not relevant and it is not useful, it is clutter. The toll booth guard denies entry. Filter 3. The toxicity filter. Is this poison? This is the final, most critical filter. A piece of information might seem relevant. It might even disguise itself as useful. E.g., you need to know this to stay safe. The guard must ask one last question. Is this information toxic? Is this information designed specifically to make me feel angry, helpless, cynical, or afraid? Is this a blame and shame article? Is this an us versus them piece? Is this just a complaint with no solution attached? This is the public stream poison we identified in Chapter 2. This is the clickbait, the rage bait, the fear-mongering. This is also the second-hand negativity, the coworker who approaches you not for help but just to complain, the family member who calls not to connect but just to dump their anxiety onto you. This information is not just noise. It is not just clutter. It is poison. It is a biohazard. The toll booth guard does not just deny entry. The guard hits the alarm. This information is treated as a direct attack on the sovereignty of your mind. This is the information you must become ruthless in avoiding. The strategy, the low information diet. You now have the filters. How do you implement them? You do not implement them by trying harder. You do not rely on willpower. Willpower is a finite, exhaustible resource. The architect does not rely on willpower. The architect relies on design. You are going to design your environment and your systems to make this easy. You are going to put your consumption on a low-information diet. This is not a no-information diet. This is a low-information diet. It is a conscious, intentional, whole foods approach to your mental consumption. Here is the plan. First, you must create friction for consumption. Your current environment is designed for passive consumption. It is frictionless. The apps are on your home screen. The news sites are one click away. The TV is always on. You must change the design. Delete the social media, news, and time-wasting apps from your phone. All of them. If you must access them, force yourself to use a web browser and log in every single time. This small amount of friction is your new best friend. It gives your observer from Chapter 4 a chance to step in and ask, do I really want to do this? Unsubscribe from 90% of the breaking news alerts, the email newsletters, and the notifications that are pushed to you. The architect is not pushed information. The architect pulls information when they need it. Designate a charging spot for your phone and make it outside your bedroom.
Make it outside your office. The consumer uses their phone for comfort. The architect uses it as a tool. Second, you must batch your consumption. You must stop snacking on information all day. A snack is the 90-second scroll while in line, the quick check of the news at a red light, the 5-minute break that turns into 30. This constant snacking is what destroys your focus. You are going to replace snacking with meals. You will designate 1 or 2 specific timed blocks per day for information. Perhaps it is 15 minutes after lunch, or 20 minutes at the end of your workday. This is your information meal. During this block, you can check the news, you can scroll the feed, you can see what the world is saying, and then the window closes. The toll booth is shut for the day. This practice is transformative. It moves you from a state of constant reactivity to a state of periodic review. You will discover that you have missed absolutely nothing of importance. Third, you must go from just in case to just in time. The consumer's mind is a hoarder's mind. It gathers information just in case it might be needed. I should read this. I might need it someday. The result is a mind cluttered with useless, out-of-date junk. The architect's mind is a hunter's mind. It operates on a just-in-time basis. It does not hoard information. It hunts for it with a specific purpose. I have a specific problem to solve. I need to learn a specific skill. I am curious about a specific topic. When you need to know something, you will go and find the highest quality, most objective source you can. You will consume it, use it, and then move on. This is the difference between being a librarian of your own focused collection and a janitor in the world's largest landfill. This is the information toll booth. At first, this practice will feel strange. It will feel like you are missing out. This is the withdrawal symptom from the addiction. It is your primitive brain screaming that you are no longer safe because you aren't scanning for threats. You must be patient with this, because on the other side of that withdrawal is something you have not felt in a very long time: space, mental silence. The constant, low-grade hum of anxiety begins to fade. And into that new, quiet space, something miraculous happens. You can hear your own voice, your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own intuition. You stop reflecting the world's chaos and you start projecting your own order. You stop consuming reality and you start curating it. A mind that is fed on poison becomes a poisonous mind. A mind that is fed on distraction becomes a distracted mind. But a mind that is fed deliberately, on purpose, and on peace becomes a mind of purpose and a mind of peace. Your museum is clean. The walls are clear. Now, what will you build? Chapter 6. The Drawbridge. Mastering Your Emotional Borders. You are the architect. You have drawn the blueprint. In Chapter 4, you conquered the internal landscape. You built the buffer zone to master the internal saboteur of stress. You learned to observe, anchor, and reframe. In Chapter 5, you built the external walls. You erected the information toll booth to filter the atmospheric poison of negativity. You learned to curate your reality. But a fortress with walls and no gate is not a kingdom. It is a prison. And a fortress with a gate that is permanently open is not a kingdom. It is a public square. A sovereign kingdom requires a gate that is guarded, a gate that can be controlled. This is your drawbridge. This chapter is about the most difficult, the most personal, and the most necessary of all your defenses. It is the defense against the third invader, the interpersonal vortex of drama. Your information toll booth was designed to manage the impersonal flow of data, media, and negativity. Your drawbridge is designed to manage the personal flow of human relationships. This is where the architect becomes a diplomat, and, when necessary, a guard.
This is the system of control that determines who gets in, when they get in, and what they are allowed to do once they are inside. This is the art of mastering your emotional borders. This is the art of the boundary. For most of your life, you have not had a drawbridge. You have had an open door policy, and you have been paying the price. The price is your energy, drained by the merchants of chaos we identified in Chapter 2. The price is your focus, shattered by your role as an unpaid actor in the drama triangle. The price is your peace, constantly sacrificed on the altar of being nice. This is where our work begins. We must dismantle the single greatest lie that has kept your drawbridge broken, rusted, and permanently down. The lie, the disease to please. You believe you must be nice. This belief is a virus. It is an epidemic of the spirit. It is the disease to please, and it is the reason you are unable to protect yourself. You have been conditioned to believe that your niceness is your value, that your goodness is measured by your infinite, frictionless availability. To be nice means you must never cause discomfort. To be nice means you must never say no. To be nice means you must be the rescuer when someone is a victim. To be nice means you must absorb the negativity of a coworker, the drama of a relative, the anxiety of a friend, and you must do it with a smile. Let us be absolutely clear. This is not niceness. It is fear. It is the fear of conflict. It is the fear of disapproval. It is the fear of being seen as selfish or rude. It is, at its core, a form of self-abandonment. You are setting yourself on fire to keep others warm, and you are wondering why you are turning to ash. Today, we replace this lie with a new sovereign truth. You must stop being nice and start being kind. Niceness is a social strategy. It is about avoiding friction. It is, in fact, often a form of deception. You smile when you do not mean it. You say yes when you mean no. Kindness is a moral framework. It is about truth. Nice is weak. Kind is strong. Nice is passive. Kind is active. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to say no. It is not kind to enable the victim in the drama triangle. It is not kind to let them avoid responsibility. It is not kind to let a coworker dump their toxic negativity on you, allowing them to spread their poison and ruin your day. It is not kind to yourself to allow your mind to be a dumping ground. A boundary is not an act of aggression. It is an act of clarity. A boundary is not an attack. It is a definition. It is the perimeter of your self-respect. It is the quiet, firm, and non-negotiable line that says, "This is me, and this is where I end. This is what I am available for, and this is what I am not." Your drawbridge is not a weapon. It is not a 30-foot thick wall of anger. It is a system. It is a set of rules for engagement. And like any good architect, you must design this system in a time of calm so you can execute it in a time of pressure. The architecture of the drawbridge. A boundary has two parts. First, the realization of the boundary. This is the blueprint you designed in Chapter 3, your non-negotiables. It is the internal decision. Second, the communication of the boundary. This is the drawbridge. This is the external action. This communication must be clear, calm, and firm. Most people fail at this. They fail in one of two ways. They are too passive. Their no sounds like a maybe. It is weak, apologetic, and filled with excuses. It invites negotiation. They are too aggressive. They wait until they are flooded with stress, failing to use their Chapter 4 tools, and then they explode. "I can't take this anymore. Leave me alone." Both are failures of architecture. One is a broken lock. The other is a cannon. A sovereign mind uses neither. A sovereign mind uses a script. You are about to receive the operator's manual for your drawbridge. These are the verbal tools, the precise scripts to deploy at the gate. They are designed to be used calmly and without apology. The operator's manual, verbal scripts for the guard. Tool 1, the graceful exit, disengaging from second-hand negativity. The scenario: you are at the information toll booth of your life. The invader is second-hand negativity. A coworker, friend, or relative approaches you. They are not in a drama triangle. They are simply a chronic complainer. They are breathing second-hand smoke. Can you believe this weather? It's awful. This project is a disaster. This company is going to fail. You won't believe what person did now. The hijacked response: you engage. You agree. I know, it's terrible. You have just inhaled the poison. You have just become a rescuer to their victim complaint. The sovereign response: you must be polite but firmly non-participatory. You must protect your atmosphere. Script 1, the acknowledgement and pivot. That sounds really frustrating for you. You acknowledge their feeling without agreeing with their negative conclusion. Then you pivot. I'm actually on my way to task. I'll have to catch you later. Or, on another note, I wanted to ask you about different topic.
Script 2, the firm, polite wall. I appreciate you sharing, but I'm trying to keep a positive headspace today. This is a high-level move. It is a direct, honest statement of your boundary. Or, I'm not the best person to talk to about this. I'm trying not to get involved in the office gossip. Script 3, the I'm not available. I only have 5 minutes before my next call, so I can't get into this right now. This sets a hard, logistical boundary. The key to the graceful exit is to refuse to pick up the negativity. You are not the garbage can. You do not have to be the receptacle for their mental pollution. You are signaling, calmly and clearly, this gate is closed to poison. Tool 2, the sovereign no. Resigning from the drama triangle. This is the high-stakes battle. This is the merchant of chaos. They are not just complaining, they are casting you. They are attempting to pull you into the drama triangle. They approach you as the victim. My life is a total disaster. Everything is going wrong. My partner is a nightmare. My boss is a persecutor. Poor me. The hijacked response: you are a good person. You feel the pull. You step into the role of the rescuer. Oh my God, that's terrible. Let me help. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? You should break up with them. You should quit your job. And the trap is set. You are now in the triangle. You are in the vortex. What happens next? One of two things. They reject all your help. You don't understand. That won't work. And you become exhausted and frustrated. They take your advice, it fails, and they return, casting you as the persecutor. It's your fault. I listened to you, and now it's even worse. You cannot win this game. The only winning move is not to play. You must resign from the cast. You do this by refusing to be the rescuer. You do this by handing the responsibility back to them. Script 1, the empowering question. Them, victim. My life is falling apart. I don't know what to do. You, sovereign. That sounds incredibly difficult. Empathy, not pity. Then, the most powerful question you will ever learn. What do you think you are going to do about it? This question is a bomb. It shatters the drama triangle. It is an act of profound respect. You are not treating them as a helpless child, rescuer victim. You are treating them as a capable, sovereign adult. You are saying, I trust you to be the architect of your own life. This is your blueprint. They may be shocked. They want a rescuer, not a mirror. They may push back. Them, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. You, calmly, I trust you. I know you'll be able to figure out the right next step for you. You are out of the triangle. The drawbridge is up. Script 2. The I'm not capable boundary. Them. You have to help me fix this. You're the only one who can. You, sovereign. I am not the right person to help you with this. This is above my level. Or, I am not emotionally available to take this on right now. This sounds like something you need to work through with a professional or with your partner. You are defining the limits of your own kingdom. You are stating, that is not my war. Tool 3. The broken record. Enforcing a hard no. The scenario. The invader is persistent. They are a persecutor or a manipulator. They do not respect your first no. They push. They argue. They try to jade, justify, argue, defend, or explain. You. I'm not available to come to that event. Them. Oh, come on, why not? It's just an hour. Don't be like that. You're letting the team down. The hijacked response. You jade. You justify. I'm just so tired. You argue. It's not just an hour. You defend. I'm not letting the team down. You have lost. You are now negotiating your boundary. And a boundary that is negotiable is not a boundary. It is a suggestion. The sovereign response. You become a broken record. You do not jade. You do not explain. You do not give them new arguments to attack. You calmly repeat your no in the exact same words. The script. You. I'm not available to come to that event. Them. Why not? Don't be like that. You're letting the team down. You. Calmly, no anger. I'm just not available to come to that event. Them. You're letting me down. I really need you there. You. Still calm, still kind. I understand that, but I am not available to come to that event. It is the most powerful and unnerving tool in your arsenal. The other person has no new hooks to grab onto. You are a smooth, polished wall. They have no choice but to back down. You have given a decision, not an excuse. The price of admission. Your drawbridge is not designed to create a life of isolation. It is designed to create a life of intention. You are not building a prison to keep the world out. You are building a sanctuary to protect what is valuable: your time, your focus, your energy, your peace. And now you get to decide who to let in. The drawbridge is not just a defense. It is an invitation. You get to lower the bridge on your terms for the people who deserve to be inside. Who gets in? The people who respect the rules of your kingdom. The people who do not jade. The people who do not try to cast you in their drama. The people who bring their own good energy, who are architects of their own lives, and who meet you on the sovereign ground of mutual respect. This is the greatest benefit of the drawbridge. When you finally and firmly shut the gate on chaos, you create an enormous, beautiful, quiet space. And that space, that new, protected energy, will attract other sovereign minds. Your relationships will shift from draining to energizing, from obligatory to intentional, from codependent to co-creative. This is the goal. A fortress with a broken gate is a ruin. A fortress with a permanent wall is a tomb. But a fortress with a sovereign, controlled, and intentional drawbridge, that is a kingdom. That is a home. Chapter 7. The Currency of Focus. You have done the hard work. You are the architect. You have conquered the inner landscape of stress, building a buffer zone to manage the alarm. You have built the information toll booth, filtering the poison of negativity. You have designed the drawbridge, mastering the vortex of drama. You stand now within the walls of your new kingdom. And for the first time in your life, it is quiet. The noise of the world is a distant hum, far beyond the perimeter. The invaders have been repelled. The chaos has subsided. There is only peace. And now you are faced with a new and far more profound question. Now what? You have achieved the silence you craved. But silence, in itself, is not the goal. Peace is not the endgame. Peace is the foundation. A fortress built to protect nothing is just a monument. A mind that is protected but empty is a new kind of vulnerability. Nature abhors a vacuum. And if you leave this new, quiet, protected space in your mind empty for too long, the invaders will return. Not by force, but by invitation. The old habits, the distractions, the trivialities, they will seep back in to fill the void. Your defenses were not built to create a life of passive, sterile, empty peace. Your defenses were built to protect a construction site. They were built to guard the most valuable, generative, and sacred process of your life. This is the chapter where we stop playing defense and start playing offense. This is the chapter where we define what you are for. We are here to talk about the one thing your entire fortress was built to protect. We are here to talk about the single most valuable, non-renewable, and generative asset you will ever possess. We are here to talk about the currency of focus. For your entire life, you have been lied to about this currency. You have been trained to treat it as cheap, disposable, and infinite.
You have been taught to give it away for free to the first person or platform that asks for it. Let us correct the record permanently. Your focus, your conscious, directed attention is not just part of your life. Your life is the sum total of what you have paid attention to. What you pay attention to is your reality. The things that you have not paid attention to, they do not exist for you. The book you never read, the skill you never learned, the relationship you never nurtured, the business you never built, they are ghosts living in the shadow world of your distraction. You do not have a life. You pay attention a life. And this attention is a currency. Like any currency, it is finite. You only have a certain number of focus dollars to spend each day. Every single moment, you are making a transaction. You are paying your attention to something. And like any currency, it can be wasted, it can be spent, or it can be invested. The tragedy of the modern world is that you are living in an attention economy, and you have been trained to be cognitively poor. You are surrounded 24 hours a day by the most sophisticated psychological pickpockets ever invented. Every notification on your phone is a pickpocket. Every algorithm-driven feed is a pickpocket. Every breaking news alert is a pickpocket. They are all in real time attempting to steal your currency from you, to hijack your attention and sell it to the highest bidder, to keep you in a state of cognitive poverty. What is cognitive poverty? It is the state of being rich in information but poor in meaning. It is knowing everything and building nothing. It is having access to all the world's knowledge and having a mind so fragmented and distracted that it cannot synthesize, create, or act upon any of it. This is the reactive loop we diagnosed in Chapter 1, but now we must see it in its true economic terms. The reactive loop is the trap of wasting your currency. The person who wakes up and the very first thing they do before their feet hit the floor is grab their phone. They have just taken the most valuable golden hour currency of their day, that fresh, high-energy focus, and they have given it away. They have given it to the anxieties of an email inbox, to the manufactured dramas of a social feed, to the negativity of the morning news. They have wasted their most precious asset, and in return, they have received anxiety. The person who multitask. You have been sold a lie that multitasking is a skill. It is not. It is a cognitive disaster. It is in truth switch tasking. And every time you switch from your email to your work to a text message to a thought about dinner, you are paying a cognitive transaction fee. It is a tax of distraction. Your brain must reload, reorient, and refocus. This is like trying to build a business by paying a 50% fee on every single dollar you touch. It is financial insanity. You are wasting your currency.
Your fortress, your stress buffer, your toll booth, your drawbridge was built to stop this. It was built to end the theft, to stop the wasting, to protect your portfolio. You are no longer cognitively poor. You are solvent. You now wake up in the morning and for the first time, that 100% of your daily currency is yours. It is sitting in your vault. And the architect's job, the sovereign's job, is to become a chief financial officer of the mind. The question is no longer, how do I stop losing my money? The question is now, how do I invest it? This is the great shift. The antidote to distraction is not willpower. You cannot will yourself to be focused. You cannot just stop being distracted. You must have something more compelling to be focused on. The antidote to distraction is purpose. The void of your new quiet mind must be filled, and you must fill it with a mission. A mind that is not on a mission is a mind that, by default, is vulnerable. A mission is your new guard. A mission is your new drawbridge. When you know with absolute burning clarity what you are building, the decision to say no to the invaders becomes effortless. Drama is no longer a threat. It is simply a bad investment. Negativity is no longer poison. It is simply irrelevant to the work. This is where we introduce the engine of the sovereign mind. This is the practice of deep work. Deep work is the investment. Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on a single, cognitively demanding task. This is not spending your currency. Spending is transactional. Answering emails is spending your focus. You pay 10 units of focus, you get 10 units of an email is answered back. It's a one-to-one exchange. Deep work is investing. It is where you take 10 units of your focus and you put it into learning a complex skill, or writing a book, or building a business strategy, or solving a profound problem. And that 10 units of investment over time pays you back 1,000 units in value. It is an act of compounding cognitive wealth. This is the state of flow. This is the state where time dilates, where the sense of self falls away, where the world disappears, where you are not the doer of the work, but the conduit for it. This is the state where you produce your highest value output. This is the state where you feel your deepest sense of meaning. This is the purpose of the fortress. You did not build this kingdom to sit in the quiet and do nothing. You build this kingdom to be a studio, to be a workshop, to be a laboratory. To be the one sacred, protected place in your life where you can do the deep work that is your purpose. So, how do we do it? If deep work is the investment, what is the investment strategy? It is a strategy of rituals. The architect does not rely on mood or inspiration. The architect relies on a blueprint and a schedule. Investment Strategy 1. Define the mission, name the investment. Your currency must have a destination. You must have a clear, specific, and compelling answer to the question, what am I focusing for? This cannot be vague. I want to be better is not a mission, it is a wish. A mission is, I am mastering the skill of coding. I am writing the business plan for my new company. I am learning a new language. I am composing this album. I am becoming the most physically fit version of myself. This mission, this single driving goal, becomes your new true north. It is the investment vehicle for your currency. You must name it. Investment Strategy 2. Protect the golden hour, the initial capital. The first 60 to 90 minutes of your day after you wake is your golden hour. Your mind is fresh. It is rested. It has not yet been polluted by the world's agenda. This is your seed capital for the day. It is your most valuable, highest leverage block of currency. And the architect's non-negotiable rule is, the golden hour belongs to me. It does not belong to your phone. It does not belong to your email. It does not belong to the news. This is the time you invest in your mission. This is the time you do the deep work. Before you check in with the world, you check in with your purpose.
The architect works on their blueprint before they look at anyone else's. This single ritual will change your life more profoundly than any other. Investment Strategy 3. Time blocking the focus budget. A budget for your money is a spending plan. It is an intentional decision. This dollar goes here, that dollar goes there. A time block is the budget for your focus. You do not drift through your day hoping to find time for your mission. You make the time. You schedule it. You look at your calendar and you block out a 90-minute deep work session. From 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., deep work on mission. And during that 90-minute block, you honor it as the most important meeting of your day. The drawbridge is up. The toll booth is closed. This is not an empty block of time. This is a sacred block of time. You are, quite literally, building your future. You are investing your currency. Investment Strategy 4. The shutdown sequence, protecting your asset. The fortress needs a night watch. You cannot run your engine at 100% 24 hours a day. The architect who does not rest is the architect whose hand begins to shake. You must have a clear, intentional end to your day. This is the shutdown sequence. It is a ritual at the end of your workday that signals to your mind, we are done. The vault is closed. You review your task list. You acknowledge what is done. You write down the plan for tomorrow, and then you turn it off. You close the cognitive tabs. This is not laziness. This is strategic restoration. This is what allows your mind to rest, to consolidate the day's learning, and to wake up tomorrow with a full new balance of your currency. The amateur is always on. The professional knows when to be off. This is the focused life. This is the new economy of your mind. When you live this way, your entire relationship with the world changes. You are no longer afraid of the news. You are uninterested in it because it is a poor investment. You are no longer angry at the drama of others. You are protective of your own mission. Your no becomes firm, not because you are cold, but because your yes to your mission is so powerful, so burning, that it incinerates all triviality. You are no longer a guard. You are no longer an architect, just looking at blueprints. You are a creator. You are a builder. Your fortress is no longer a quiet, empty sanctuary. It is a vibrant, humming, generative workshop. And from it, you are finally and fully building the life you were meant to live. Chapter 8. The Alchemy of Perspective. You have built your fortress. You have mastered the internal landscape of stress, creating a buffer zone of calm. You have erected the information toll booth, filtering the external poison of negativity. You have designed the drawbridge, mastering the interpersonal vortex of drama. You stand within your sovereign kingdom, and you have filled it with a purpose. You have rejected the cognitive poverty of the distracted world and embraced the cognitive wealth of the focused life. You are no longer just a guard. You are a creator. Your focus is a currency you are investing every day in your mission. The walls are strong. The vault is full. The workshop is humming. And then something goes wrong. Not an invader you can block. Not a distraction you can ignore. Something real. A project you poured your focus into fails. A person you trust criticizes you sharply and publicly. A setback occurs. A financial loss, a medical diagnosis, a sudden unwanted change in your reality. The fortress, for all its strength, cannot make you immune to life. What happens now? What is the purpose of the fortress if it cannot prevent failure or loss? This is the question that separates the sovereign from the master. The sovereign is concerned with protection. The master is concerned with transmutation. This chapter is the most advanced in your training. It is the final, highest art of the sovereign mind. We are moving beyond mere defense and into the realm of alchemy. Alchemy is the mythical science of turning base metals like lead into gold. Your new alchemical power is the ability to take the lead of adversity, the failure, the criticism, the setback, and to transmute it, to metabolize it into the gold of strength, wisdom, and fuel. The protected mind blocks the bad. The alchemical mind uses it. The architect in you has, until now, been focused on the blueprint. You have been drawing the lines, building the walls, and following the plan. The alchemist in you, however, must now learn to work with the materials you didn't plan for, the mistakes, the accidents, the impurities. The alchemist knows a secret. The impurity is often the most valuable ingredient. This is the chapter where you learn that an obstacle is not a barrier to your mission. The obstacle is the material for your mission. We will now learn to metabolize the three great base metals of life: failure, criticism, and fate. Transmutation 1. The alchemy of failure. First, we must redefine the word failure. In the dictionary of the victim, failure is a verdict. It is a final judgment. It is a stamp applied to your identity. The project failed, therefore, I am a failure. This is the thought that crushes. It fuses the event with the identity. In the dictionary of the alchemist, this is an unacceptable, toxic, and deeply inaccurate definition. The alchemist knows that failure is not a verdict. Failure is data, that is all. It is the neutral, unemotional, and incredibly valuable result of an experiment. You had a hypothesis. If I follow this plan, I will achieve this outcome. The world, the great laboratory, returned a result. This hypothesis is incorrect. The victim hates this result. They argue with it. They weep over it. They deny it. They build a shrine to it, and they visit that shrine every day for the rest of their lives, wondering why. The alchemist values this result. The alchemist pays for this data, often dearly, in time, in money, in energy. And having paid for it, the alchemist is damn sure they are going to use it. The price you paid for the failure is the tuition for the lesson. To wallow in the failure, to accept it as a verdict on your identity, is to pay the tuition and then skip the class. It is the ultimate waste. So, how does the alchemist perform the transmutation? With a post-mortem process. Not an emotional one, but a forensic one. This is the black box analysis. When a plane crashes, the team does not stand around the wreckage wringing their hands saying, "This is a failure of a plane." They recover the black box.
They look at the data. They ask, what happened? This is your new process. Step 1, acknowledge the fact, the lead. You must be ruthless here. No sugarcoating, no excuses. This did not work. The launch was a failure. The relationship is over. You must, like a true scientist, state the plain, unvarnished fact of the result. Step 2, separate identity from event, the purification. This is the crucial move, and it builds on the observer you trained in Chapter 4. You are not the event. You say, the plan failed, not me. The strategy was flawed, not me. The decision was wrong, not me. This separation is non-negotiable. It creates the space for the alchemy to happen. You are not a failure. You are an architect who has just discovered a structural flaw. Step 3, hunt for the gold, the extraction. You have the lead, the raw failed event. You have purified it from your identity. Now you hunt for the lesson. You ask the hard, specific, data-driven questions. What was the flawed assumption I was operating under? Where was the gap between my plan and reality? What is the one thing I learned from this that will make the next attempt 10 times stronger? This lesson, this is the gold. You were not trying to avoid failure. You were paying to acquire this piece of wisdom. And when you find it, when you extract that lesson, the failure is transmuted. It is no longer a failure. It is a cost. It is the tuition for the gold. The alchemist then moves through life with a different kind of confidence. It is not the arrogance of believing they will never fail. It is the resilience of knowing that even if they fail, they will not be defeated. They will simply be educated. They will harvest the gold and be stronger for it. Transmutation 2, the alchemy of criticism.
The second base metal is criticism. This is, for many, harder than failure. Failure is an event. Criticism is a message, often a personal one. It is an attack from the outside world. The victim, the inhabitant of the unattended gate, is destroyed by criticism. Their drawbridge, chapter 6, is permanently down. The disease to please means that any criticism is seen as a withdrawal of approval, a threat to their survival. Their response is the hijacked response, defensiveness, anger, shame. The sovereign has already built their drawbridge. They can block the drama and the negativity. But the alchemist takes it one step further. The alchemist knows that, like failure, criticism is a raw material. It is raw ore. 99% of it is just useless, worthless rock. But hidden inside, there may be a 1% kernel of gold, a sliver of gold. The alchemist's job is not to absorb the criticism. Their job is to filter it, to pan for the gold.
You must build an alchemical filtering system for all incoming criticism. It has 3 filters. Filter 1, the source. The alchemist asks, who is this from? Is this criticism from a master in your field? From a mentor you respect? From a fellow architect who is also in the arena building their own fortress? If yes, this ore is valuable. You must examine it. It is given as fuel. Or, is this criticism from a spectator in the stands? From an anonymous account? From a chronic complainer, chapter 2? From a merchant of chaos, chapter 6, who is just trying to pull you into their drama triangle? If yes, the ore is worthless. The alchemist's rule is simple, and you must write it on the walls of your mind. Do not take criticism from anyone you would not go to for advice. 90% of criticism will be filtered out at this step. It is noise, not data. Filter 2, the intent. The alchemist asks, what is the purpose of this criticism? Is it constructive? Is the person's intent to help you build? To make you stronger? To point out a flaw you cannot see? This is valuable criticism, even if it stings. This is gold. Or, is it destructive? Is the intent to harm? To tear down? To make you feel small? To express their own jealousy, bitterness, or negativity? This is not criticism. This is poison. It is negativity, chapter 5, in disguise. It is drama, chapter 6, in disguise. The alchemist discards this. It is toxic waste, not ore. Filter 3, the kernel of truth. This is the master-level move. Let's say a piece of criticism passes filter 1 and 2. It's from a good source with good intent. It is now your job to find the gold, the lesson, and use it. But let's say it fails filter 1 and 2. It is from a random, angry, destructive source. The alchemist still asks, in the calm of their buffer zone, is there, despite the toxic source and the hateful intent, a 1% kernel of truth in here that I can use? This person says my work is sloppy. They are a troll. But was I in a hurry on that last part? Could I have been 10% tighter? This is the ultimate alchemy. The alchemist can take the worst of the world, the most toxic lead, and still find a way to extract gold from it. And for the rest? The 99% of rock and waste? The alchemist does not fight it, does not argue with it, does not reply to it. They let it go. The best response to a hater is not a clapback. The best response is the result. The best response is the success. The best response is the indifference that comes from being a sovereign on a mission who is too busy building to be distracted by someone who is only watching. Transmutation 3, the alchemy of fate. This is the final and most difficult transmutation. This is the lead you did not choose, you did not cause, and you cannot fix. This is not failure, which is data, or criticism, which is noise.
This is fate, the unavoidable, the accident, the illness, the loss, the market crash, the act of God, the thing that shatters your blueprint. The victim's response is the most human. It is the cry, "Why me? This isn't fair. This isn't right. This wasn't the plan." This is the question of the powerless. It is a cognitive black hole. It leads to a lifetime of bitterness, of resentment, of a life frozen in the before time. It is the ultimate waste of your focus currency. The alchemist must do the hardest work of their life. The alchemist must practice amor fati, a love of one's fate. This does not mean liking what happened. It is not positive thinking. It is not looking on the bright side. That is a denial of the data. It is instead the radical and powerful act of acceptance. Acceptance is not surrender. Surrender is weak. It is giving up. Acceptance is strong. It is the clear, calm, and 100% acknowledgement of what is. This is the new reality. This is the new landscape. The old map is useless. The alchemist does not waste one single unit of their focus currency, Chapter 7, on wishing reality was different. That is the worst investment in the universe. Instead, all of their energy is channeled into a new question. The victim asks, "Why me?" The alchemist asks, "Given this, what is my new mission?" This is the transmutation. This is my new reality. I cannot change the fact of it, but I am 100% responsible, Chapter 3, for the meaning of it. This is the new material I have been given. These are the stones. They were not in my blueprint, but I am an architect. I will build with them. This is the ultimate alchemy. You take the obstacle and you make it the ingredient. You take the lead of the tragedy and you choose to transmute it into the gold of a new purpose. A purpose of compassion you did not have before. A purpose of resilience you did not know you had. A purpose of service to help others who are now on the path you have just walked. This is the sovereign mind in its highest form. It is no longer just protected. It is unbreakable. It is unbreakable because it has nothing to fear. If failure is just data, and criticism is just ore, and fate is just new material, then what is left to fear? Your fortress was not built to keep life out. It was built to give you a safe place to practice this. To practice taking all the lead of the world, all the chaos, all the pain, all the noise, and to calmly, deliberately, and alchemically turn it into gold. Chapter 9. The Resilient Mind, Forging Unbreakable Calm. You have come this far. You have faced the diagnosis of your unattended gate and made the architect's decision. You have learned to conquer the internal hijack of stress, filter the external poison of negativity, and master the interpersonal vortex of drama. You have stopped playing defense and gone on offense, investing the sacred currency of your focus into a mission. You have learned the highest art of the alchemist, transmuting the lead of failure, criticism, and fate into the gold of your own power. You stand inside your fortress, a sovereign in your own workshop, a creator at your own forge. And now you face the most subtle and the most persistent of all enemies. It is not an invader, it is not a hijacker. It is atrophy. It is the universal law of entropy, the law that states that any system left to itself will inevitably decay into chaos. A fortress that is not maintained will crumble. A muscle that is not worked will weaken. A mind that is not continuously cultivated will revert to its old, reactive, and vulnerable state. The work you have done is not a project that is now complete. You have not built a monument. You have designed a living system. And this chapter is the manual for that system. This is the practice that turns your sovereignty from an achievement into a character.
We are here to talk about resilience, but we must, once and for all, destroy the old definition. You have been taught that strength is the goal, but strength, as it is commonly understood, is rigidity. A stone wall is strong. A glass cannon is strong. But under a specific, targeted, and powerful enough blow, they do not bend, they shatter. The strong mind, the rigid mind, tries to resist pressure. It toughs it out, it white-knuckles its way through a crisis. And it, too, can shatter. This is not our goal. We are forging resilience. Resilience is not rigidity. It is flexibility. It is not the stone wall. It is the master-forged steel spring. You can compress a spring. You can put it under immense pressure. But the moment the pressure is released, it does not shatter. It does not stay compressed. It instantly returns to its original shape. Resilience is not the oak tree, standing rigid in the storm, which is snapped in two by a powerful gust.
Resilience is the willow tree, which bends with the wind, touches its branches to the ground, and when the storm has passed, it springs back, not only unbroken, but stronger for having adapted. Your goal is not to build a mind that never gets pushed off center. Your goal is to build a mind that returns to center faster and faster until the disturbance is just a momentary wobble, a ripple on the surface of a deep, unshakable calm. This is not a state you achieve one day. It is not a trophy you win. You have not arrived at the destination of calm. Calm is not a destination. It is a discipline. Resilience is not a thing you have. It is a process you run. This chapter is the sovereign's code. It is the daily, non-negotiable process that makes your new state of being permanent. It is the forge that makes your mind unbreakable. We are building your ecosystem of resilience, an interlocking system of practices so powerful that your baseline, your default resting state, becomes one of calm, clarity, and focus. The ecosystem of resilience, the daily forge. This ecosystem has three pillars: the hardware, the training, and the integration. Without all three, the system fails. Pillar 1. Fortify the hardware, your physical sovereignty. You have a sovereign mind, but you have only one body. You cannot, you will not have a calm, focused, and resilient mind in a neglected, exhausted, and inflamed body. The two are one system. To ignore your body is to build your fortress on a seismic fault line. It is an act of architectural self-sabotage. The Alchemist, Chapter 8, knows that all things are material, and the alchemist of the self must first master the physical. This is not about looking good. This is about feeling sovereign. Your physical practice has three non-negotiable components. 1. The primacy of sleep. Sleep is not a luxury. It is not an inconvenience in the way of your mission. Sleep is the primary act of mental and physical repair. It is the foundation of your fortress. It is the forge where the alchemist does their deepest work. When you sleep, your mind integrates the lessons of the day. It files the data from your black box, Chapter 8. It consolidates the skills you practiced in your deep work, Chapter 7. A sleep-deprived brain is, by definition, a hijacked brain. As we discussed, your amygdala, your primitive reactive alarm system, becomes 60% more reactive on a single night of poor sleep. Your prefrontal cortex, the architect's office, goes dark. To neglect sleep is to voluntarily surrender your fortress to the internal saboteur, Chapter 4. The sovereign protects their sleep with the same ferocity they protect their focus. You must build a shutdown sequence, Chapter 7, not just for your work, but for your life. A non-negotiable ritual that signals to your mind, we are powering down, we are repairing, we are forging. 2. The discipline of movement. In Chapter 4, we discussed movement as the way to complete the cycle of stress. Here, in the forge, we take it a step further. Movement is not just processing, it is forging. Discipline is a transferable skill. The act of pushing your body when it is uncomfortable, of holding the pose, of lifting the weight, of running the extra mile. This is not physical training, this is mental training. You are, in a controlled, safe environment, teaching your mind how to handle the signals of discomfort. You are teaching your mind to not be hijacked by the internal alarm that screams, "I can't." The discipline you build in the gym is the discipline you will use at the drawbridge, Chapter 6. The resilience you forge under the barbell is the resilience you will use when facing fate, Chapter 8. The mind follows the body. When the body becomes resilient, the mind must follow. 3. The alchemy of fuel. You are an alchemist. You understand that what you put in determines what you get out. This applies to your body. You are building a high-performance, sovereign system. You cannot fuel it with poison. This is not a diet. This is a fueling strategy. You must, with the same curation you use at your information toll booth, Chapter 5, apply those filters to what you eat and drink. Relevance. Is this relevant to my mission of energy and clarity? Utility. Is this useful fuel, or is it a snack that will cause a crash? Toxicity. Is this poison? Is this processed junk that will inflame my system and create a hijacked state of anxiety? To eat with intention is to perform a daily act of self-respect. It is to declare, my mission is too important to be derailed by cheap fuel. Pillar 2. The training ground, the practice of calm. Your internal calm is a muscle. You cannot hope that it will be strong when the crisis hits. You must train it every single day. If your fortress is your mind, this pillar is the dojo. This is where your mental soldiers, your observer, your architect, your alchemist, go to train. This is your daily practice of silence. We have spoken of this before, but now it becomes a non-negotiable system. This is not relaxation. This is work. This is mental weightlifting. The practice is simple. You will designate a non-negotiable block of time, 10, 15, or 20 minutes every single day, and you will sit in silence. No phone, no book, no input. You will become the observer, Chapter 4, on purpose. You will watch your thoughts. Your mind will wander. This is not a failure. This is the opportunity. Your mind will drift to a worry, a plan, an itch. Your job is to notice without judgment, and to gently but firmly bring your focus back to your breath, back to the present. That single act of noticing and returning. That is the bicep curl for your prefrontal cortex. That is 1 rep. Every time you do it, you are physically rewiring your brain. You are strengthening the neural pathways of the architect and weakening the default, hijacked pathways of the victim. You are practicing your resilience. You are widening your buffer zone, Chapter 4, second by second, so that when the real crisis hits, when the real invader is at the gate, you do not have to find your calm. You are the calm. You have trained for this. This is just another rep. This daily practice is the forge. The heat is the discomfort of the silence. The hammer is your intention, and the steel is your mind. Pillar 3. The architect's review, the practice of integration. A system that does not learn is a system that will fail. The final pillar of your ecosystem is integration. You must become your own chief strategist. You must review the battle footage of your day. This is the daily practice of your alchemy, Chapter 8. At the end of your day, in your shutdown sequence, you will perform a 5-minute architect's review. This is your black box journal. You will ask 3 simple forensic questions. You will write down the answers. Question 1. Where did I win today? You must acknowledge your victories. This is non-negotiable. I used the sovereign no, Chapter 6, with a coworker, and it worked. I felt the stress alarm ring, Chapter 4, and I used the anchor breath. I stayed in control. I did my deep work, Chapter 7, before checking my phone. You are reinforcing the new identity. You are proving to your mind that the system works. Question 2. Where did my system fail? Notice the language. You did not fail. The system had a bug. I got hijacked by a news headline, Chapter 5, and lost 30 minutes. I did not enforce my drawbridge with a family member and felt drained. This is not judgment. This is data. This is the forensic report from The Alchemist. You are looking calmly for the flaw in the architecture. The gate was left open there. Question 3. What is the 1% gold? The lesson. From that data, you extract the lesson. The lesson. My toll booth is weak at night. I will implement a friction rule. No phone after 9 p.m. The lesson. I need a script, Chapter 6, for that specific family member. This is compounding wisdom. You are ensuring that you never waste a day. You are ensuring that you never make the same mistake twice. You are integrating the alchemy into your daily life. The fortress is learning. It is adapting. This is the forge. This is the unseen, unglamorous daily work. The work of fortifying your hardware. The work of training in the dojo of silence. The work of integrating the lessons of the day. This is what forges the unbreakable calm. It is the system that supports the sovereign. And the result? It is not a life without storms. It is a life where you become the eye of the storm. The world will still rage. The winds will still blow. But your baseline is no longer anxiety. Your baseline is calm. Your capacity for pressure increases. The things that used to be a crisis are now just a task. The things that used to derail your entire week are now just a ripple. Your return to center is no longer a struggle. It is an automatic reflex. It is the new shape of your mind. The spring always returns. The willow always rises. The mind, forged in this daily fire, is no longer just protected. It is resilient. And a resilient mind is and will always be unbreakable. Chapter 10. The Sovereign State. We are at the end, which is, of course, the beginning. You began this journey as a tenant in your own mind, living with an unattended gate. You were a victim of the world's noise, a product of your own hijacked biology. You were living in the reactive loop, pushed by your anxieties and pulled by your distractions. Your life was a crowded, chaotic public square, and your own voice was drowned in the static. You were, in short, asleep. Look at yourself now. You are no longer the tenant. You are the architect. You are no longer the victim. You are the alchemist. You are no longer the guard, standing in a constant state of defense. You are the sovereign, ruling a calm, orderly, and productive kingdom. This is not a metaphor. It is your new identity. You have done the work. You have cleared the excuses and laid the foundation of 100% responsibility. You have conquered the war within, building a buffer zone to master the internal alarm of stress. You have built the information toll booth, ending the tyranny of external negativity, curating your reality with the precision of a master. You have designed the drawbridge, mastering your emotional borders, and resigning from the exhausting unpaid role of actor in the drama of others. You have stopped wasting the sacred currency of your focus, and you have begun investing it, with ruthless, single-minded purpose, into your mission. You have learned the highest, most profound art of the alchemist, taking the lead of failure, criticism, and unavoidable fate, and transmuting it, again and again, into the gold of your own strength. And you have forged it all into a permanent state, a resilient mind, through the daily, non-negotiable discipline of the unbreakable forge. This is the end of the book, but it is the beginning of the real life. So what does it look like? What is the experience of living in the sovereign state? What is the ultimate reward for all this work?
It is not happiness. Happiness is a fleeting emotion. It is a weather pattern, a burst of sun. It is a result of a moment, not a state of being. To chase happiness is to chase the wind. It is not success. Success, as the world defines it, money, status, applause, is an external validation. It can be given, and just as easily, it can be taken away. To build your fortress for success is to build it on the land of others. The reward for this work is not happiness. It is not success. The reward is peace. Not the peace of the graveyard, a sterile, lifeless, empty quiet. No. This is a warrior's peace. It is the deep, unshakable, generative calm that comes from knowing you are in command. It is the clarity of a mind that is no longer at war with itself. It is the power of a focused will, applied like a laser to the work you were meant to do. Let us paint the picture of your new reality. You wake up in the morning, and you wake up in silence. There is no alarm from your phone. There is no instant jolt of anxiety. There is no reactive loop. You wake up, and for a few sacred moments, it is just you. You and your breath. You feel your body, the hardware you have fortified. It is not a source of pain, but a source of power. You do not grab your phone. You have no interest in the phone. The world can wait. The world and its agenda does not get to be the first voice in your head. The first voice is yours. You begin your day with your golden hour, Chapter 7. Perhaps it is your mental training in the dojo of silence, Chapter 9. Perhaps it is the physical forging of your body. Perhaps it is the deep work on your mission. Before the world has even had its first cup of coffee, you have already invested in your empire. You have already built a piece of your future. You have won the day before 9 a.m. You enter the world. You go to your job. The old you would have entered this space as a sponge. You would have absorbed the mood of the office, the stress of your boss, the secondhand negativity of the complainer by the coffee machine. The new you enter as a lighthouse, Chapter 3. You are not there to absorb the weather. You are there to set the weather. Your internal state is yours. It is non-negotiable. It is armored in the unbreakable calm of your morning's practice. When the complainer approaches, Chapter 5, your drawbridge is on duty. You are polite but firm. You do not engage. You do not inhale their smoke. You give a graceful exit. They feel the friction of your boundary. They feel that you are not a dumping ground. And like water, they flow away, seeking a path of less resistance. A crisis hits. An angry email lands, Chapter 4. The old you would have been hijacked. The internal alarm would have become a forest fire. The new you feels the ping, and you smile. Because this is training. You are the willow. You feel the stimulus. You use the anchor breath. You observe the emotion. Ah, there it is. Interesting. You are in your buffer zone. You are in the command center. You let the emotional wave rise, peak, and crash against the walls of your fortress. And you, the sovereign, are untouched. When the water has receded, you reframe. You do not see a threat. You see a task. You drain the emotion from the problem, and you see only the data, and you handle it calmly, decisively. Your coworkers, still living in the hijacked state, look at you and wonder, how are you so calm? You are not calm. You are trained. You go home. You perform your shutdown sequence, Chapter 9. You end the day. You leave the work at the office. You do not carry it over the threshold of your home. A family member, a person you love, approaches you. They are in a state of chaos. They are spinning in the drama triangle, Chapter 6. They want to cast you as the rescuer. The old you would have dived in, setting yourself on fire to fix them, only to end up exhausted and resentful. The new you
You are the lighthouse. You are kind, not nice. You listen. You are present. You give them the gift of your unbreakable calm. But you do not enter the vortex. You do not take their responsibility. You ask the empowering question. That sounds incredibly hard. What do you think you are going to do about it? You hold the boundary. You honor their sovereignty by refusing to treat them as a victim. You hold the space for them to become the architect of their own life. This is the true act of love. You end your day. You perform your architect's review, Chapter 9. You scan the battle footage. You find the wins. You identify the bugs in the system. You extract the gold. You are compounding your wisdom. The person who goes to sleep tonight is literally smarter, stronger, and more resilient than the person who woke up this morning. You are never making the same mistake twice. This is the sovereign state. Your life is no longer loud. It is clear. Your energy is no longer drained. It is channeled. Your relationships are no longer obligatory. They are intentional. The merchants of chaos have faded from your life, bored by your boundaries. And in their place, other architects, other sovereigns have been attracted to your light. Your mind is no longer a public square. It is a sanctuary. But this is not a fairy tale.
This is not the end. You will be tested. The work of the sovereign is never done. There will be a day when you are tired, when you are sick, when your discipline fails. A day when you do get hijacked, when you do engage in the drama, when you do waste your focus on the poison. And in that moment, you will be faced with the final test, the test of self-compassion. The victim mind in that moment will turn on itself. See, you're a fake, you're a failure, you can't even do this. This is the internalized persecutor. The sovereign mind, the alchemist. You will observe that thought. You will see that failure not as a verdict, but as data. You will perform the alchemy on yourself. You will not white-knuckle back to discipline. You will breathe. You will acknowledge the bug in the system. You will extract the gold. I was tired. My hardware, Chapter 9, was weak. The system failed. The lesson, rest is a non-negotiable part of the forge. And you will return to center, not with anger, but with clarity. Your resilience has become so profound that you are even resilient against your own failures. This is the end of the war for your mind. You have won, not by destroying your enemies, but by understanding them, by mastering them, by transmuting them. The stress, the negativity, the drama, they will always exist, but they no longer have power. They are no longer invaders. They are just noise. And you are the silence. You are the architect. You are the alchemist. You are the sovereign. You have taken back the territory. You have built the fortress. Your mind is finally and completely yours. The work is done. And now the real work, the work of your mission, can begin. Go, build, create, live.